Here we go. So, the topic of today is religion.
We're not supposed to talk about that on YouTube.
You know what? Fuck it.
We're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. But yeah. So how do you? Because like religion is such like a touchy topic, especially when it comes to like games, and that's why a lot of devs and game companies don't put religion in the game just because it has too many parallels to the real life and stuff, and they don't want to cause any internal struggle. But Steven's like totally against that, and he doesn't care to do, for that to actually like cause a problem or anything like that. So he loves religion, and he thinks that it should definitely be incorporated within the game, and I think so too. But how do you feel about like the idea of a religion system being in an MMO?
I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt my feelings any.
No.
I'm not the kind that would even get
triggered by that,
bent out of shape about that, get my panties in a twist, whatever you want to say. To me, because I'm such a min-maxer power gamer type of gamer, I'm just going to look at it as another way to make my character unique, make it as powerful as possible. Another way to synergize it with another choice that I make for my character that gives me, some OP combination or something. So that's how I'll look at it personally.
Yeah, and I think you're right, dude. I think it just adds further depth to character creation, and also like a different avenue to play the game if you really wanted to progress down that route indefinitely. But yeah, I think it's a good system, and I think that it works well, especially with an MMO. But I think it's going to work well with Ashes of Creation too. So, but for the religions, there's 6 primary religions, and then the 7th being the Tolnar religion. So 7 in total of what you're going to actually be able to pick as a player base. And I'm curious on this because there are other gods, and I don't know if they're going to be able to be pursued in the religion route. It doesn't really clarify on the wiki, but I think that hopefully you can, if you wanted to go down that dark path, you can. And but you can choose a religion which enables players to walk that lighter dark path if you really wanted to. So and that's all based on quest lines and other actions of that sort. So
yeah, I mean, I think the system is really cool. Just kind of looking at the outline on the wiki, overview, the system is it looks like it's cool, and like I said, I think it can mean different things for different people. Like I said, I'm gonna look at it just like another way to customize my character or whatever. But some people, it's going to be great for their role play.
Yep. That's a big part of what I like.
Some people are, it's just going to be another thing for them to interface within the game. It'll just be another system within the game. And this is kind of a one-off, but I think it's really funny. Have you ever played Mountain Blade Bannerlord?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So have you seen the online version that they have now, the mod that makes it multiplayer, makes it an MMO?
I have, yep. And I've almost been tempted to download it.
So the Vlandia is one of the factions in Bannerlord, and butter going back to the original Bannerlord, has always been one of the like major trade goods in the game. And so the Vlandia faction of players on Bannerlord Online have started a butter religion, and they're all like they all worship butter, and they're gonna be their immediate, the first thing they're gonna do as soon as the PvP is put in the game is go down into to Asarai and do a butter crusades or whatever.
Right,
and so now there's like somebody that's trying to start up the margarine reformation and stuff.
Oh,
so,
really?
like,
That's hilarious.
Yes,
dude.
it's really funny. So people will find a way to put some semblance of religion in anything, in any game, without it being built in as a system. So I mean, I think it's really cool that they're really putting it in the game.
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
pushing that front. Yeah.
Right. And then, that's, I believe when we did I think it was the last podcast we did, where we talked about the affiliate, what your affiliations are going to be, and
Mm-hmm.
like what's your allegiance ranking. I
Mm-hmm.
think religion was on there.
It was, and it
So
was at the bottom. So
at the bottom, right? So but that means you are going to have some level of allegiance to your religion. So
right.
it's not just something that's superfluous in the background. Like, it actually matters, and it's going to affect some of your decision making in game, which I think is pretty cool. I don't think an MMO has ever done that before that I can think of.
Nah, I don't know if Lineage did it because a lot of it's being built from Lineage and Arcade and
Mm-hmm.
all that too. Those are just the games that Steven played a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever played an MMO with religion, especially like I've known that like within the lore there's religion, but there's not like a religion
Mm-hmm.
path that you can go down. And the only one I could really
Right.
think of, and the one that you've played, is SWOTOR
Mm-hmm.
with your alignment and being good or light or dark side. You know,
Yeah, that's really
but that's
stretching it.
yeah,
But yeah, I
but
mean, I
that's
guess you could say the Force is a religion.
yeah. Well, I just mean like within your alignment, you know, like
Right. No, I got you.
how do you interact? Like, are you on the good path or on the bad path? But they intend religion to be more of a modifier a motivator than a aesthetic. So they want it to
Right.
actually, you know, get people engaged and involved rather than it just being like a tagline, like you're of this faith or whatever, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, but players may only follow one religion at a time. Any previous progress that you've had with that religion, if you decide to change, will be lost.
That
And
makes sense.
yeah, and then there's a ranking system within the religion system that's based on players' performance of completing quests and kind of growing that religion outward and making it more predominant in the world.
It says
Um,
based on the player's performance in the quests. So the better you do in the quest itself, like take less damage or get it done faster or something.
I think it's
Well, that's
more,
interesting.
yeah, like maybe you can, you know, there's different kind of benchmarks to the quest. Like you get it to, or thresholds, you get it to this point, you know, and you can complete the quest, or you can like keep going with the quest, and it's really to stretch out the whole or make that particular religion stronger within the world. So I think that's kind of where you can gain more of an influence within the actual religion that way, and the
That's
number
pretty
of
interesting.
quests. So it doesn't really define that. So it just said that. So I was like, oh, okay, that could be interesting. But I want to take you back to for all the people out there too listening. I want to take you guys back to actually the foundation of the religions, because there's a lot of, you know, depth when it comes to the religion, and I feel like it'd be good to touch on it. Originally, the whole story of how creation is, and I'm not going to go too into it because I want to leave a lot of this to the lore episode, but basically in the beginning there was 10. And I don't know, are you familiar too much with the background story of Ashes?
I'm not, but that's simply because I've avoided it. I don't.
Right,
I've
yeah.
I'm a little torn about like knowing everything, because every little bit's going to give you an advantage, and it's going to be a super competitive game. Or, you know, but I'm torn between that and then the fact that I
You
try
don't
to
want to
go into
ruin
these
it.
games with like just a blank slate and just see how it goes. But I'll
Right.
probably end up, you know, learning about the lore between now and then. So might as well do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, so for all the spoilers out there, you could also go over to the wiki and read it yourself. But basically, there was 10 gods, right? And they formed a pantheon of gods. And in this pantheon of gods, there was the god plane. And then from the god plane, they decided that they wanted to create. One of the gods is the god of creation, which is like the main Ashes logo of the phoenix. That's his
Okay.
representation of the god. So, but basically, they decided to make this race as a stewardship to the gods. You know, kind of like very familiar ties to God and Christianity with humans and whatnot. You know, which I thought was pretty original, but I like it. You know, I don't think that that's a bad way to go. But anyway, so they created these ancients,
Yeah.
right? And the ancients are the stewards of the gods. And basically what they do is they're imbued with all the qualities of the gods and goddom. What ended up happening was a kind of a struggle between how they should govern these people or these ancients and how the actual ancients should be. And it caused a rift in between the two parties of the gods. One party of the gods, which were the 7, which are the primary gods you're going to be able to use, decided to go on one side. And then 3 of the other gods, the rest of the 10 of the gods, they decided to go on the other side. And this kind of escalated, and it grew into this almost light and dark side. What ended up happening was that the others, they ended up teaching the secrets of essence, which is like basically the energy of the world. You know, everything that's created, everything that's with, it's the chi. It's pretty much like the magic of the world. And I feel like I'm doing talking too much about the lore aspect because I want to save it for the lore. But anyway, so this essence is what allows the gods to create. It allows them to be gods, really, you know, and the most abundant place of this essence is in the plane of the gods. And the farther it stretches out, the less and less and less it kind of goes. So anyway, so the others were teaching the secrets of this essence of how to achieve goddom. The 7 found out about it. So that caused a fucking celestial war.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, right? Just what you want to see. Which ended up resulting in the others, obviously 3 against 7, you're pretty much outnumbered, but you never know how powerful it is. But they ended up getting banished to the void. So, and that is the farthest away from the essence it goes. There's still parts of the essence within the void, but it's not much. And when I was reading this, I'm really thinking, I'm like, this is going to be endgame content, dude, going to the void plane and fighting all the bosses, all the others. Because they did go, yeah, and they did go on to say that the ancients and the others are the main antagonists of the storyline. So I feel like endgame rating is going to definitely exist on their plane or in some way around that. But what's interesting about the 7 is they never destroyed the ancients. The ancients are still on Vera. And that's what the players are going to be fighting. We're going to be fighting against the ancients, and we're going to be fighting against these corrupted zones, because the ancients, even though they were taught both good and evil, they like to manipulate the world in corruption. And if you've seen recent streams, Steven this last stream actually, Steven showed off like what the corruption areas kind of look like, and it's like a decayed, and that's caused from the ancients, right? So you can thank them for if any bad juju comes when you're playing. This is where the races get created. Realizing their mistake, right? The 7 imbued all their qualities into 4 different races, which is where you get the 4 races of Vera. And then I don't really know how the Tolnar come into this, but they're kind of pagan religion. They're kind of like a mix. Like I like to think of it as like Christianity coming to England, in England, and then the Vikings and Nordic coming in, and they all kind of live and develop together. Even though there was wars and all that together, it was still they kind of all exist in the underrealm.
Right.
And this social organization that they came together was known as the Orders of the 7. That's with your Alian humans, the Kavek orcs, the Purian elf, and then the Dunes and Kel dwarves. And it doesn't really touch on the Dunes and Kel's god, which I'm curious to see who that is in the end. But so that's a little lore piece for you guys. And if you look on the wiki, there's the story of creation. If you read that, I feel like that's going to be what you're going to end up like coming into the world as. Like when you make a new character, you're going to spawn into the world, and you're going to have this text or whatever story that gets told to you, and then you wake up and there's a shadowy figure that comes to you after you've seen all these visions, and then you just wake up somewhere in whatever city you choose, you know.
That sounds like exactly how, what's the MMO that starts that way, because it's a religion heavy Rift.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you played Rift at all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And Rift is like the battle between like the technology versus religion is kind of the kind of general idea of what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the whole story told to you about the battle of the gods and all that stuff, and then it dumps you into the game, like exactly what you just said, basically.
Right. That's what I was thinking when I was reading this. I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably how the game starts. But basically, so how the religions are really going to work is within the religions, it's there's a social organization, right? And you're going to be able to pursue with the light pack, I feel, and you're also going to just be able to just be in the religion and go the religion route for quest lines and all different types of stuff. But basically, you're going to be able to get unique titles that can unlock special abilities and stats during siege events, which I thought was really, really cool and interesting. For each religion, there's one specific guy that reaches to the top, kind of like the Pope, right? Yeah, so you can be the strongest of religion, so to speak, but like, man,
religion.
Yeah, I just feel like that'd be such a headache, don't you? Like if your whole thing was to, progress this religion and do this religion, everything counts on you. So you're going to have to like, I don't even know really like what that entails, but I mean, it's going to be interesting.
No, I guess there's not really a way for us to know necessarily what it entails. And so I don't know whether or not it would be a headache. It's really interesting to have these conversations with somebody who's not like a power gamer like I tend to be, or so you're seeing it from a different angle. Like we see that through a totally different lens. We have a completely different take on what, like we can read the same sentence and see two different things.
Right.
And so, for example, whenever I see that you can, the religious progression is based on quests that are only offered to followers of that religion. Religions have a ranking system based on a player's performance in these quests and the number of quests completed, and then changing religions will cause you to lose your previous religion. I see that and I think, okay, so what's going to happen is people are going to figure out what religion has the best bonuses at the high end. All the best players, the most high-end players, the most hardcore players are going to be that religion, and they're going to completely take over
one dominant
the high
religion.
end of that religion. Yes.
Well, I think I don't think
not necessarily one dominant religion. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there will be at least one religion, if not two or three, just depending on what's available at the end, where the casual player, the role player, the one who might actually want to do the Lord's work, for example, and like go spread the message of the religion and whatever, they're not going to get to ever be at the top and be the Pope-like figure. The Pope-like figure is going to be some power gamer, some raider, or like PvP god or something. And the only reason he's going to be at the top is because he's going to have performed these quests at the maximum possible efficiency or whatever, and he will be the god or the Pope guy. And so like the religion won't get like that would be that's how I see it whenever I look at this. I'm like, there's 100% going to be somebody who figures out, oh, okay, well let's do that religion or those two. If you're a ranger, you want to be this religion because at the end there's an extra ranged skill that you can have if you're, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. So that's what I'd be concerned about, and that's how I see the
I could see right, yeah. And I don't really see it like that. I see it as the people that go into religions are going to be people that really, that's all they kind of do. If you want to be the top end part of the religion, you're going to have to do all the quest lines that's within that religion, and you're going to like how they were looking and how they were interacting with just NPCs. You have different choices of what you're going to be able to choose and what influences that. So that affiliation. So if you like pick the one that's religious, you're going to get accreditation towards that. So, I mean, not everybody's going to do that religious route. You know, if you really want to be the top end part of the religion, the only thing I think you're going to be able to really benefit from is the augmentations or special abilities within the sieges.
Right.
Like, I think that you might get the hardcore player might be that person, but I think that they're going to be like a seer type, or they're going to be like a specific person that's dedicated for that. And whether that gets dictated by the guild or whomever leadership they are under, you know, that can that really kind of like makes who they are, you know, like that's going to dictate, you know, who's going to get the buffs and whatnot like that. So I mean, I think it's mainly going to just be for that's going to be an avenue, and if you want to pursue that avenue all the way to the top, you can. And it's interesting to see how the person at the top gets not at the top anymore, and who comes up and passes them or beats them. I don't know how that's going to work. You know, like I don't know if it's just a number you got to maintain and keep the highest above everyone else in order to stay in that religion, or it's going to be like, you know, kind of like the church and like how they elect a pope when a new one dies and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, that's very interesting, and you have a good point there about we don't know the system. Like for example, if it really is just whoever completed the most number of quests with the highest number of efficiency, and there's a number, it just assigns them a number, and you, in order to take that spot, you have to have a higher number than them. Well, then what I was saying earlier seems far more likely. But if it's not that, if there's more like
a voting system,
a voting system or something else,
right,
then yeah, you could end up with an entire, like something entirely different. And so that, and you know, and they can't. The thing that had me concerned, what I was just talking about, was the idea that you know, they can't add content like just nonstop. They
right,
won't be able to, so there'll only be a certain number of quests. So if the idea is that there's a score that's attached to how well you perform the quests, well, once you've done that,
you got to redo it until you get a better score.
Right. And then it's like, then it really gets down to just the most
proficient
skilled
you could be,
player, or the
right,
most efficient or whatever. But if it's not that, if it's like you said, if it's a voting system, or I'm trying to think of a system in a game that's similar, and the only thing that I can think of, and it's a weird parallel, is in Star Wars: The Old Republic in SWTOR. They have the stronghold system, the player housing essentially, and there's a spot you can go to where, and you can choose to have your stronghold listed or not listed in this spot, but it's listings of all the people's strongholds who want to have theirs listed, and people go to them and check out the decorations and stuff and vote on them, and so they appear on that list based on, so it's like there's a score that's attached to it,
right,
because you
how
have
many votes and stuff.
How well, it's not just the votes, it's also how much like how the variety of decoration types you used, and how many total decorations you use, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so there's the score, and then there's also the voting part, so that's like combined into one or whatever. And so I could see a system like that. That's it. It's a weird parallel to make, because it barely correlates to a religion system, but
right,
that's the only thing I can think of where I've seen something that's it could work like that.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case, yeah, you could have like people who act in game like a pope for all intents and purposes.
That's what I mean.
Like,
I think that would be fun
like
if
what's the word? Prophet, like a prophet going
right,
around.
yeah.
And that would be more fun for sure.
That would be way more fun. And like I would even like to see if like people treated him different just because he's the high end, you know, like you get like people that praise him, and then you get people that, you know, throw shit at him or something like that.
Right.
But no, I think this is where I think it's going to differ, though, is because each religion is different from each other, you know? So I don't know if the systems are going to be different upon every religion. They different in God, and they differ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if just one system's one way and the next is different, you know?
Right. So like to use more SWTOR parallels, like the Jedi would be more democratic in a voting system, and the Sith would be based purely on the score. Whoever has the highest score, that's the guy.
Or death or something like that, or rituals. Who does the most rituals or
Well,
something?
yeah.
Right. Something that's kind of sadistic and evil, depending on the route they choose and the paths they choose. But I just foresee that that's going to be the fun part, and I think like each religion's going to have its own uniqueness, and I hope it does. At least, I mean, I really hope it does, because I love the religion system, and I think that it's going to take off. Um,
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
the system in Skyrim and Oblivion where you can join the different guilds and work your way up to the top and be like the headmaster of like the fighters.
That's how
There's
the
actually a
social
parallel there. I didn't.
Yeah, that's how the social organization. And would be like this would be like you join the clergy, but there's like a bunch of different types of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got your fighters guild, and they have the traders guild, I think, and the thieves guild in the game too, within Ashes. So this is what I mean, like when it's gonna correlate with social organizations. This is like the benefits that you're gonna gain from it. But what's interesting too is the only hindrance I feel with the system, and this is where I kind of like, I don't know, is mainly a lot of these ways you can level up your religion is through temples, right? And only temples can be put in a divine node.
Well, if you hadn't asked me, I could have told you.
Yeah, the divine node. So I feel like in order to really be top of the food chain in the religion world, or at least in that particular religion, is you're going to need a divine node. And which is pretty interesting. I feel like that kind of, it hinders the whole growing process, but it just, I feel like it kind of just pushes it into this direction rather than just letting it all flood, like it's channeling it to one way. So not everything's going to be just a huge clusterfuck, because like if you want to choose that, you go for that type of node, and then you go for those religions. And what's another cool thing is multiple temples can be built on a node, and they're going to have to compete against each other. The different religions of that node are going to have to compete against each other for those spots. And as the node grows, you get more spots available to build a temple. But it's going to be interesting on like what religion's going to take foothold in a node, and then what's going to be castrated out, or what's going to be subdued, or what have you. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I just, as you said that, it occurred to me, and I because we talked earlier about not really having a religious system in MMOs that you could think of.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually put out a YouTube video this last week. I think it's called 5 Less Known MMOs to Try Out in 2021. And one of them is this old MMO. I think it came out in like 2003 or something. So it was like 18 years old. And it was actually co-developed by Notch, the guy who made Minecraft. Okay. And this game is kind of like the granddaddy of the modern craft, build, survive MMO, and it's a really, really slow version of Minecraft. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is there's religion in that game. I can't believe it just now occurred to me. And when you start talking about the different religions fighting over power, it reminded me. And in that game, you can become a priest. And interestingly, in that game, if you become a priest, there's a whole bunch of actions you can no longer take. Like you can't build
that'd be cool.
New construction and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have limitations like kind of like a priest does or whatever.
You can't get married or something like that. The family system is no longer for you.
Yes. Yeah,
so
in Worm, if you become a god or a follower of the I forget the name of the god, but it's kind of like a nature god or whatever. Well, you can no longer make roads because then you're disturbing nature, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's an evil god too, and whenever you put down altars and start worshiping in that god in your area, the tiles on the ground start warping into this demented
Twist
sadistic
it,
looking
right?
twisted tile, and those tiles start spreading, and then they end up butting into the tiles from the good gods or whatever, and so you end up with. It's funny that I didn't even make that correlation when we were talking earlier, but yes, I've actually played an MMO that has a
Religion
somewhat similar
system,
system,
yeah.
and definitely a pretty intricate religion system. And then in the game, you start out as like a follower, and after you've prayed enough times and whatever, you can go to a priest, and then if you keep going even higher, you can go up a level higher than priest. I forget what it is, but you're like a paragon of virtue for that religion, and you get all kinds of new abilities and new restrictions that come with it. So
Yeah.
it's pretty similar.
Yeah, I would love to see that, dude. I hope that they can follow that parallel, man. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. I do like having to sacrifice it. And I hope that's like at the top, like when you get to like the popedom, you got to sacrifice all you got to sacrifice all these things. You
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool.
but I want to read what Steven said on this with the temples because I think it might kind of explain it a little better. But let's say you go into the temple and you sign up to be a follower of that religion. There is an inter-organization quest line that you can advance and rank and title, and only one person can be the leader for a period of time. If they advance all the way up to the top, so like during sieges, they'll have special benefits like they can grant divine prayer buff to allies within X amount of distance of them during a siege. So
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to say like that's so within the temples you're gonna have to actually like go to the temple to sign up to the religion, and
Yeah.
that's how you're gonna be able to up your status and titles and all that is through the quest lines. But the hub is the temple, and if you don't have a divine node, you're not going to be able to do that. But they go on to say that the next best thing you can do is make a shrine, and shrines are on freeholds, which can be on any node. So I mean, I think that's where they're kind of growing the religion out. And if you're predominant in a certain religion, you're going to want to build a lot of shrines in a lot of locations. So
God, I wonder if Steven played Worm, because that's a similar system. Like you have to make this trek to this if, for this for Worm. It's not a temple. It's like this statue to the gods, and you have to make this like kind of like a religious journey to there to sign up to be a follower or whatever. But then after that, you have to put down shrines, and so everywhere you're going, people have put down their shrines, and depending on how high you can up the quality of your shrine will overtake another one. So it's like very similar system they
yeah,
got going on.
maybe they did. Maybe he did play
And
it.
well, that's weird because nobody plays that game. So
Yeah, but he doesn't play normal MMOs.
yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true.
but yeah, so shrines may grant certain access to certain tithes that can be made to your deity, which is like maybe a way to influence raise your influence with the deity. This could be a stepping stone to unlock deeper progression within the religion. Shrines will not provide the same benefit as temples, but they are the next best thing, like I said earlier. Players
Okay.
can be able to pay to use players' freehold shrines. So it might be a
Okay.
way to make money too.
Right. If you have a freehold that's in a real high value location, that's going to be one of the
Or
more interesting
even
things
not.
about the game too.
Like if you're questing and you're on the other side of the map, but you want to keep your religion standing up, you got to go to someone's shrine or the
Right.
temple.
And well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying is people will end up going to uh,
Right.
like the one that's right outside the dungeon that you're trying to do or whatever. So
Right.
like there's going to be freehold locations that are going to be
In better
better
spots than others.
in better spots. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
do you
for
do you
sure.
know what the most valuable real estate company in the entire world is?
Google? I don't know.
McDonald's.
McDonald. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like there's gonna be spots that are like
Yeah.
this is the best one. Have you ever played an MMO that had the housing on the open world instead of in an instance before?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, so Ultima Online had that way back in the day, and I would assume it still does today. But and yeah, there was the houses, the few houses that were right outside the entrance and exit to a city, for example, they got all the foot traffic, so they just got richer
It
and richer
makes
and
it
richer
makes
because they could
sense.
sell all
Yeah.
the stuff. So and then there was one that'd be right next to that dungeon that everybody has to go to or whatever. If you become a really high end alchemist and sell lots of potions at the entrance to a dungeon, you're gonna
Right.
make money. So
Right. Right.
anyway, so I'm sure there's going to be some with the shrine system just takes that to another level. Like, it might not be, you won't make as much money as the shrine on your shrine, uh, as one of the houses that's right outside the exit to a city, as maybe you would if it was right outside the exit to or entrance to a dungeon,
Right.
because it's like, oh, we need to get that buff before we go inside the dungeon or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right. Or yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. I like that. It's a neat system.
Yeah. And I feel like they can just take it so much further too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just with the whole intricacy of shrines and just tithing to the gods and making it just more abundant in the world. And like as the node levels up, if your religion of that node's like high, there's just that you see that in the culture, you see that in the way the node is, like you see people like NPCs like kind of worshiping it, and stuff like that.
Right.
Like it brings it up. It makes it like more prominent. Like you go to Rome, you see Catholic Christianity, Catholicism
Right.
everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
but you go to like India and you see like Buddhism everywhere and Hinduism
Right.
everywhere, like everybody's into it. So, I mean,
It influences the architecture and everything.
it influences
and they are doing a lot.
Yeah.
They are doing that a lot in this game, where like whatever the dominant race or whatever in the area, like the architecture is going to be influenced by that.
Mhm.
So if the religion also influences it, that's pretty cool.
Right.
And I like the idea of like if you're the Pope and you're walking through the town or whatever, like all the NPCs of that religion are like bowing down to you or like jaw dropping,
Or just like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Start doing the holy,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, just praying, just like on their knees
yeah,
and stuff. Yeah, that'd be interesting. And like, I could
yeah,
even see like, cause we're running an all orc guild, and I could just see our node just being very orcish in architecture, but also like elements of an evil god on them, all over them.
No, you got this all wrong, dude.
What?
You guys need to run an orc guild, but be like the most pious, good religion. Like pick
No, hell no.
just for the dichotomy of it.
Yeah.
The evil orcs or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
like, no, we're pious and we never hurt a fly.
Yeah. That'd be the worst decision ever. Yeah. So like I was saying before, there's definitely a lot of benefits when it comes to the religion system, unique titles, unique shop items. So you're going to be able to get certain shop items that you're not going to get if you're not within the religion.
Like the cash shop?
I don't know if it's cash shop, but I think it's maybe,
Okay.
I think it's maybe like in game from purchasing from an NPC or something.
Oh, okay. I was like, that seems like counterproductive for a video game company to have items on the cash shop that only certain people can buy.
I know. That's just hindering them. But you get discounts, which that's why I think like it's going to be actually within the NPCs or what
Okay,
have you.
gotcha.
Or maybe even player to player trading. You just get discounts through the religions of the people selling it.
Ooh, that'd be interesting if you're a member of a religion and you set up
A vendor.
a vendor in your freehold, and other people who are also of that religion get a automatic like 10% discount
Right.
at your vendor.
Right.
Oh, that's really interesting.
That's what I
Man,
mean.
there's really cool little things like that they could do.
Yeah. And roles that open up during the events or node sieges, provided the node has a temple that's dedicated to the player's deity or the player is a citizen of that node. So that was with the the perks to being in a siege as a certain religion. If granted, if you're high enough. Unique unlockable augments, which was the next topic we're going to get into, and then recipes can be unlocked based on the player's status within the religion too, which is interesting. And I don't know what they mean by like cooking recipes or different recipes of crafting or what have you. So
It's probably crafting.
yeah, I would say it goes into crafting, which could be interesting because like then you could start crafting, you know, more religious stuff, and maybe you need to craft some stuff for quests. You know, that's
Absolutely
pretty common.
And that's pretty neat. I really think that's going to be fascinating. It seems like every MMO I've ever played, except for the other Star Wars MMO, Galaxies.
Oh yeah,
and Galaxies
back in the day,
different
man,
crafters,
Galaxies.
yeah, that's old school.
Yeah, that's old school.
In that game, different crafters could craft different things based on the recipes they discovered or something. I can't remember the exact system. It's been 20 years, but in this game, you know, in every MMO, if you're a blacksmith, you can craft all the same crap that all the other blacksmiths can craft. It's exactly the same.
I know. I don't like that, man. That's just so
I don't
boring.
either.
And then you get
It's
flooding
very
of the market of that, you know?
Yes. And so with this game, not only have they basically committed to crafted gear is going to be end game high end gear, so it's going to be sought after. So it's not going to be something an afterthought as soon as people start doing raids. But they've also committed to the stuff being very different. But in terms of just what you can craft, we may both be blacksmith, but I can make a sword that you can't make, and you can make a pair of boots that I can't make.
And I get to sign it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then you can sign it, and then there's the addition of the stats. Like you can actually control what stats go on it,
right.
or
there's a little bit of art.
System.
Yeah, so in the vertical progression, you can control the stats, but if you wanted to enchant the item, it's a little RNG.
It's a little RNG, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so the market is going to be vastly different than basically any other MMO when it comes to that, because you're not going to just go, oh well, I want a sword of +2. Let me go find the cheapest sword of +2 that's on the galactic market or whatever. It's going to be, oh well, that sword, you know, has this aesthetic to it that I really like. But that one over there has +8 to armor, and the other one, I can't find any other sword that has +8 to armor. This is the only guy that can add +8 to armor.
Right, and because he's that good at it, you know, you got to buy it from him.
Yes,
and and that's what you need. Yeah, and the other cool part about it too is you can break the item when you're trying to craft it. You know, that's a sweet element.
I'm very appreciative of MMO developers that try to, even through kind of like shady ways, I guess is the best way of putting it. But anyways, they try to force scarcity.
They need to, you know, you need to. Yeah, you need something that's gonna make the players fear a little bit, you know, or take the risk, you know, risk over reward. So let's get into augments. Why everybody's here, you know, strong augment. So within the religion system, and I said it before, but you're going to be able to unlock unique augments. And what the augments kind of entail is they're going to tie into your secondary class, and they're not going to necessarily replace. It might replace certain abilities. It may not, but, it's going to change and tie into the way that ability looks and feels and is, you know, used pretty much. But basically, it's going to be a horizontal progression side to that ability. And if they do it correctly, which I hope that they do, it's not going to create too much of a meta type of thing. Like it just only enhances that ability if it needs enhancement, rather than just totally making it only usable or unusable, you know?
Right.
A cool thing too that they're adding is whatever deity or whatever religion that you're a part of, it accents that into the ability of the augment. So you're going to get strong with that. But what do you think about, you know, them tying religion into augmentation? Like why augmentation? You know, like, do you think that's the best avenue with it?
Well, I don't know about best avenue, but I think it makes a lot of sense. They're doing that with, it seems like everything, like the whole thing. And that's one of the, you know, you and I've had this conversation before about options and just
Right.
give us all the options. And it really seems like they're doing that. Like they're going, okay, so there's a fighter, and then here's 8 classes you can mix your fighter with, and depending on those which of those 8 classes you mix it with, it's going to change the flavor. It's going to augment your skills so that you're going to be different than that guy over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, you're going to join a node, and depending on what type of node you join, here's some more augments that you can have to further differentiate your character. And also, your guild, depending on the size of your guild, there's going to be augments that are available to you that aren't to other people. And also, here's a religion, and it's like, and it seems like there's 50, and also, you can do this to alter your character. So yeah, sure, why not have religious augments? If I can have some type of a, if I'm a mage and I have some type of a like a fireball spell or something like that, but it turns it into like a holy fireball or a cleansing fire or something like that. Yeah, that's cool. Do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I totally agree, dude. Like, I think that specifically with augmentation, I think everybody's going to love augments. I think that they're going to be the fucking hot commodity, and everybody's going to want this augment for this part of their character to make them be this way. But I love how it's behind the wall of a node, and it's also behind the wall of progression, and only one can be the best. Kind of like only a few can only have flying mounts. They're like really limiting it so that they don't have, like, they can keep that conflict. And remember when we were talking about conflict and keeping that conflict like afloat, basically, or creating more conflict? This is just another way for them to make more conflict, Yes. So
yeah, they've definitely built the game to drive interaction between players and conflict between players, but it's basically built to create both conflict and
reward almost, or alliance. Yeah.
Players, like you're going to have. There's not going to be anybody. Yeah. Okay. So that's funny. That's my parallel to this is football. I'm a big football fan. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Lay it out.
And so I
hate you, by the way.
One of the things
I've
always been saying when people complain about the Cowboys having the nickname America's team, and they'll be like, well, they haven't made it or whatever. And I'm like, this is why. And it's because there's not any football fan in the whole country that doesn't love or hate the Cowboys. There's nobody that's like, whatever. I don't really care about the Cowboys, whatever. Like that doesn't.
Yeah, I honestly don't give a fuck about the Cowboys, really.
Right. And maybe there's a few, but it's not very many. And so it's going to be the same thing with this game. You are going to be in an adversarial or an alliance relationship with virtually everybody on the server. And what's really interesting is, and we've talked about this a little bit before, depending on what exactly is going on, somebody that you were an adversary with yesterday may be your alliance today.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Because yesterday they were your enemy, today they're your friend, because now y'all's node's being attacked, and so now y'all have to gang up to defend.
We have to set aside our struggle for the bigger one,
So yeah, there's not going to be people that you're going to be totally indifferent about in the game. It's like you're going to love or hate everyone.
Yeah, dude. And I think definitely religion adds to that. And I'm excited to see like how they tie it in with the lore, and how they bring it out with actually playing the game. Like, is it going to be a thing that you just don't want to miss out on? And Steven touched on it too. He's like, this is a huge system. Like, if you don't do religion, you don't have to. You can be an atheist, it said on there. Right. But you're missing out on like a core component of the game. And I'm like, well, hell yeah, dude. If it offers you all this things and it just adds to the, immersion to the game, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you have fun with it? Even if you really didn't like take it that seriously, like you can, you can still believe it, but you could also role play that and say, no, there's no gods and all that. So, but I mean,
I almost wonder if they need to add some type of atheist
religion.
Religion. I know that's the dumbest, like an oxymoron, but
no. So they don't get anything.
There were, right. In SWTOR, there was a lot of complaint about that. People wanted to be like a gray a neutral person or whatever, and
Right.
that all the benefits were at the far end of light or evil. There was nothing for just, hey, look,
I
I
don't want
make
to do
whatever
it.
the smart decision in the moment is. I don't just choose the light side or whatever. And so I imagine there's going to be clamoring for some type of atheist, a tree that the atheist can go down to get augments that are for the atheist or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then that's its own religion pretty much, So
Right, and I've said that for a long time.
yeah, that's its own religion. So, yeah, but that's pretty much religion. So,
I have a question, and it kind of occurred
mm,
to me while we were playing, and just because I don't, if I hadn't been playing Bannerlord online recently, I don't think I would even have this question. But um, do you think that this system is not just this system, but just the concept of having religion, especially baked into the core of the game like this, could have some pretty significant downsides, like cause some animosity that might not have otherwise been there.
within like realness to like a person, like
Yeah.
like they're actually upset because there's gods and there's not talking about
Well, okay. Let me
God.
give you the example. Let me give you the example. I told you about the whole butter religion in
Hmm.
Bannerlord. So what I didn't articulate well enough, and so the Vlandians, who are the ones who are planning this crusade, that's like because there's the different factions, and each of the factions
Yeah,
have
they're
like a
the
different
red. They're the
the
red guys.
cultural. Yeah, they have like a different
Yeah.
cultural background or whatever, and so the Vlandians are like basically old England. I mean, it's
Yeah.
medieval England knights and stuff, and where they're planning on going to do this religious crusade is like
Down
nomadic
in
nomadic
they going to the Arab
Middle
kingdom
Eastern,
down
the
there. Yeah,
Arab kingdom
yeah,
to go
down
do that. And
south.
it's like so a bunch of English people are planning on, Christians are planning on going to, do a crusade. And so
I
those
think that's
parallels, even
funnier
though
though
even though
that
they've
it's like that.
they've masked it in this whole butter religion thing,
Mhm.
it's still they're very much going to do that. And so I started thinking about that. And I'm like, are people going to be able to draw parallels between the parts of the religions and be like, oh well, this religion is basically Buddhism, and that religion is basically Islam or whatever, and then be like, oh well, are you going to get like proxy religious wars? You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just started thinking
just
about,
even in just like warring and chat, with each other. Like,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
I mean,
yes.
maybe, like when I was reading the actual lore behind it, I'm like, wow, this is a lot of influence from Christianity of like how God made the world and everything like that, but it's split amongst.
Mhm.
But then I look at other like pagan religions and they have like similar ties to it too. So I mean, like
Sure.
it's really it's hard because it's fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's just a game at the end of the day, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not hurting anyone. If it's hurting anyone's feelings or what have you, then I think they should just stop playing the game,
Agreed.
realistically. But it's the internet. You can't control the internet. They're making a butter religion. Like who the fuck does that shit?
Right, right.
It's
You know,
hilarious because it's
they
it's still
have a
emulating
definition of the
Christianity
butter.
in the Crusades, and I think that's like even funnier because like they're going to the Middle Eastern kingdoms and all different because that's what Christianity did for a long time with especially with combating Islam. But I mean, I don't know, like I think that people are definitely going to get triggered and there's probably going to be a lot of griefers. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of tickets submitted to the devs on removing the system or changing the system and all that. But
Kind of what I was thinking. Like, have they spent all this time coming up with all these intricacies and all this stuff for the system, and it be something that is perpetually a complained about, and b like is a point of contention, especially in chat. Like I can see it, especially like, oh my god, because there can be different temples in a divine node. Can you imagine chat on a divine node? Like what's that zone in Warcraft that's like the most toxic place on Earth? The Barrens or something like that?
yeah, I think so. Yeah. The Barons. Yeah.
I know there's a zone that's like the most toxic because I haven't played Warcraft in 15 years, but
Maybe
there's a zone where,
Orgrimmar or something like that. I don't know.
right. There's some zone that everybody talks about is like the everywhere it's just talking trash, and the fleet is like that in SWTOR, especially the imp side fleet. Every game has a zone that's like that, and it's like, are you gonna have that where it? Can you imagine node chat at a divine node? Like you're gonna have number one just propaganda of the actual.
That's how
in-game.
Jerusalem is, dude.
Yes.
It's like Jerusalem, just like now the Jews
That's
got
my
it.
point,
Now
man.
Christians got it. Now Islam has it. Like it's just this revolving door for every,
Right,
the top 3 religions that's in there. It might, but I don't know. Like it might be not, because like with this Order of the Seven and the Light Pact, they might all like be trying to do it for the common good, to defeat the main antagonist of the storyline. So there's that too.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying not all the religions on Earth are for the good? Is that what you're saying?
No, hey, I didn't say anything, man. He's putting words in my mouth.
That's my point.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, it's just a video game. So I mean, if people get triggered that hard about it, then they could just stop playing or submit their ticket and see if it changes anything. I don't know.
I started thinking about that. I'm like, it's rife for griefing. I think that's the best word you used earlier, griefing. I think there's going to be people who are going to use it as a point to grief off of, essentially.
I think more people are going to just be griefing off PvP open. I think that's going to be the grief, because people are already griefing and they're not even playing the game. It's all the PvEers that just want to PvE.
They use the religious system for like emotional warfare.
Mm-hmm.
The PvP will just be killing you. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Anyway,
what's more annoying,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up.
Awesome.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, that was it. I thought about that during the middle of it, and that's what I thought that was.
Yeah, sweet. All right, guys. Well, this is episode 7, and we will catch you later. See ya.